we're now going to be having a presentation from Laura Sandis. Laura Sandis, CBE, is non-exec director for SGN and Energy Systems Catapult, and it's titled Digitalising the Energy System. So over to you, Laura.
Hello, very nice to see you all today. My name is Laura Sands and I am chair of the Energy Digitalisation Taskforce, which was set up by BEIS, Ofgem and Innovate UK, and absolutely thrilled that it was run and my sort of collaborators were the Energy Systems Catapult. So very pleased to be able to be here today to talk about what digitalisation can offer the energy system. So the energy system is going through a total revolution, as we know. People talk about transition, but it is transformation from a sort of command and control, big is beautiful, to a very, very much more distributed, blended and location-based energy system. I have to have something with Monty Python in there, so blessed are the cheesemakers, because of course we've got a serious amount of smaller actors sitting on the system. The only way the energy system is going to work is through very, very deep digitalisation and a lot of data flows to ensure stability. So what does this really look like? The new system is going to be with lots of capital assets, all of them sitting, whether they be sitting in the North Sea, big offshore wind, or whether they be sitting outside your home in your EV car. These are capital assets that are going to be that are quite different in their whole personality from those of a commodity, which is the fossil fuel world. There'll also be storage, there will be also network investment. But actually, what is going to be the value of the energy system is not going to be so much the commodity, it is going to be what you do with the commodity. And what you do with the commodity will be around optimization. It will be around very smart algorithms. It will be absolutely driven by data and digitalization. And that will be where the value lies. And so we feel that, you know, the whole sort of revolution that's going on in energy is really going to be driven by data and digitalization. As we frequently say, the energy system is going from 400 key players in the sector to 100 million actions and assets, and that will require digitalization. So just to show you what this world will look like, in the middle there is, in many ways, could be the person running the electricity system. They're going to have to manage data management, asset optimization, IoT, storage, cybersecurity, multi-vector interactions. And so in order for us to unlock the opportunities that sit in this new system, we were absolutely thrilled to be asked by government to draw up a energy digitalisation strategy that is there to inform and support the sector to ensure that digitalisation becomes the new form of plumbing underpinning the energy sector. So we're going to have multiple and changing customer preferences. Just-in-time data is going to be crucial to new actors. More dynamic and bidirectional system needs, and also interacting with dynamic markets. This is going to be a very different world. And so the Energy Digitalisation Taskforce that we published in January actually in many ways complements what we did 2 years ago, which was the Energy Data Taskforce. The Data Taskforce was looking at data visibility, unlocking that data, and our core proposition there was around all energy system data needed to be presumed open. And that gave us, and will be giving more and more, data visibility, but infrastructure and asset visibility. The Energy Digitalisation Taskforce is the next stage, and this is looking at opening up the opportunities of digitalisation, AI, algorithms, dynamic digital markets that will really unlock this new energy system. So the aims of the task force was that digitalisation is not just a sort of form of enabler, it's actually a transformer. And we've drawn a lot of our understanding from experience from other sectors. And that's absolutely crucial because a lot of other sectors have gone through this journey. In many ways, energy is reasonably far behind, but we felt that by looking at other systems, we would be able to leapfrog those things that the mistakes, the opportunities we'd be able to grab from other sectors. So we looked at some guiding principles: customer trust and satisfaction, decarbonisation and flexibility, regulation, very important, and the thinnest layer of central intervention possible. We also urge government to act now. So we used some use cases. One which was prices to devices. How do we ensure that communications, just-in-time market data, can move from an offshore wind farm to an EV car? Now, nobody's presenting the fact that they're going to be absolutely communicating with each other. But because this is a whole system, we have to have some form of infrastructure that links these. The second is in many ways the system management, and that is we have developed solutions and recommendations that neither say that the system is going to be managed in a decentralized way or a centralized way. We've created optionality for both options, and my suspicion is that we will end up with, in many ways, a middle road where we will be both managing the system nationally and locally. So we needed to what's called address the plumbing, get the plumbing right. Now, it's not to say that there isn't energy digitalisation going on. Of course there is, but a lot of it is peer-to-peer, and in many ways, by not having some centralised, very thin, very, very limited interoperability, we are going to get the Tower of Babel. So I've decided that I am the new plumbing expert with my colleagues at the Energy Systems Catapult. So the recommendations. Top line, we're looking to unlock the value of consumer actions and assets, absolutely crucial. And that comes in the form of a customer consent dashboard. Trust in this world and trust in data and digitalisation is going to be crucial. We also recommended that smart energy assets needed to be energy enabled. They needed to be able to be connected. Some people might not know, but some heat pumps are currently being installed where they have absolutely no communications functionality. I'll talk a little bit more about the digital spine, which is about delivering interoperability. This is absolutely crucial. And this will link and in many ways address the issue prices to devices. It will ensure that we have a very, very thin, what I would call the HTML of energy, linking the system and allowing interoperability to be unlocked. We also need to look at new digital governance, and we propose as a digital delivery body that would enable the government to deliver these public interest assets at speed and independent from vested interests, but all sorts of other digital governance things that I will cover later. And last but certainly not least is enable carbon monitoring and accounting. We currently have carbon monitoring through the ETS, but it's not dynamic. And what we must have now is going forward to really address net zero is dynamic carbon monitoring and reporting. And that can be implemented pretty straightforwardly and will be particularly important for those technologies such as CCUS and other carbon removing technologies as we go forward. So let me speed through this. We've got our value of customers. We need to unlock this value of customers, actions and assets. Our first key point is the customer consent dashboard. and the mandating smart enabled assets. But also we need to streamline asset registration that BEIS is doing extremely well. We also would like to move regulation from looking at hardware options in terms of settlement, in terms of system management, such as sort of actual meters, to using much more data-based virtual solutions. We also need to ensure that customers are rewarded, and our infrastructure that we're proposing here really does help deliver that. The second is the interoperability, and the key point here really is this digital spine. And the digital spine will create data sharing fabric with nodes that external data can plug into. This will be very, very thin, and we propose that there should be a stakeholder panel that would absolutely challenge that this digital spine that would be government sort of managed as such would not encroach at all on any commercial interests. New governance, digital governance and approach. We think that we absolutely need to establish algorithm governance, and we propose presentations on that, and develop a dynamic risk dashboard, which will be absolutely crucial in terms of regulation. But we also need to regulate interdependencies, and I think there's been too little consideration on what really goes on when it comes to the interdependency between communications and energy. As I've said, carbon monitoring and accounting is crucial, and that will absolutely drive net zero and allow us to have visibility of our carbon consumption just in time, which will need to flow with energy data and also with market information and settlement. And the last two areas is around digital security. Security is absolutely crucial, and we have a very significant report on digital security measures. Some top lines on it is to ensure work towards a just culture. We absolutely have to ensure that interoperability is, and the risks of interoperability is important. We need to map the cascade effects of system security zones. And we also need to implement some very well-trodden, but sometimes not very well implemented policies and merit order patching. The last but not least, and probably the most complex, is to embed a digitalisation culture within the energy sector. And that is something that is a challenge. We've got wonderful engineers meeting digital natives, and the cultural differences are quite significant. And so that's something that the sector needs to really focus on and ensure that we're employing the right people in the right place to actually unlock this digitalisation transformation. So really, to recap, we're looking at making sure that customer data is released, but through a trusted, clear consent and control portal. Deliver interoperability through public interest assets. Implement and address new digital governance issues. Importantly, employ digital security measures, and also unlock that carbon visibility that's so crucial for net zero. I want to thank you very much for a very, very kind offer to allow me to talk about digitalisation, what the future looks like, how we're trying to drive this through the Digitalisation Taskforce, and hope that today and all your considerations going forward will see that the energy sector and digitalisation are going to become absolutely inextricably linked. And we look forward to that digital transformation that will go hand in hand with net zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. That was brilliant. You're more than welcome. I think it was a fantastic presentation, a really current one as well. I liked the information on data interoperability. I think there's a lot in the news at the moment about data sharing and sharing customer data and there is a bit of a reluctance. I think customers are feeling that data is being shared with people or organizations it should be shared with. So I think that was a really on point presentation about, where we're going to get to, what we need to do to manage the data, and also talking about the transformation that we need to get through in this industry. So thank you very much, Laura, for a brilliant presentation. Laura, you are obviously on the panel after this break, which I'm really looking forward to on data. So we will see you in 15 minutes time at 12:35.